Let me show you how to create a chart that looks like this one here, the one you're seeing on your screen, and this requires only 2 simple steps. So I've already created a pivot table report here. What I need to do is to click anywhere in the table, navigate over to the pivot table analyze option, click on the pivot table chart under the tools. So this will open the insert chart dialog box, and let's go for a pie and navigate over to the donut chart option and click OK. This will give us this particular donut chart here. So what we need to do here is to actually make sure that this chart is a little bit clean by removing some of the elements. That's what I will do. I'll actually right mouse click and hide all the filled buttons on the chart. And let's also click on the legend, right mouse click, format legend, and move this one to the bottom. There you go. The next thing we can do here is to increase on the donut hole. So I click on any of these bars, right mouse click, format data series, and let us make this donut hole size to around 60 right there. The next thing that you'll need to do is to get rid of this border that we have here. Right mouse click and format chart area. For the border, you just come here and say no line, and for the fill color also say no fill. There you go. Our chart is now clean. It has no borderline and it also has no background color. Now let us introduce another shape here. I'll come over to the insert tab, and under the illustrations I'll insert a shape. Let's go with a rectangle, rounded corners, and I draw this shape right here. So the other thing that you can do is to actually go to format, change the fill color to any color of our choice. Let's go with something like this, and I'll just right mouse click and send it to the back. Let's now introduce our title. I'll just go to the insert under illustrations. I can bring in any shape. Let me just draw this shape right here, and in here I can add text. I'll call this one sales and profits, and also enlarge this entire text box. We can also make it bold, and for this shape we shall actually turn off the fill as well as the outline. We can duplicate this and in here introduce another subtitle with another font style, and for this subtitle I'll call it by product segment. Let me also enlarge on the font size, something like that. Now the next thing is to introduce our numbers here, and to do that we shall write a simple formula pointing to any of these cells. I'll come over to any of the cells and punch here total sales, and in here I'll say total profits. Let us write a simple formula here. This will be equals the summation of sales B2 all the way through to B4, and for the total profits this will be equals the summation of sales C2 all the way through to C4. Alright, so let us bring these numbers inside the donut chart hole. I go back to the insert and bring in a new text box. I draw it somewhere here, and for this one, while selected, I'll come over to the formula bar and say equals, and then I will point to the total sales and hit enter key on the keyboard. This number will show inside here. I can just enlarge the text box, and for the shape here we shall say no fill and also no outline. We can also change the font color to white so that it blends inside our donut chart hole, and we can make it bold and increase on the size as well. We can duplicate this number as well so that we can bring in our profits. I'll do the same, and in here go back to the formula and edit this one to F3, hit enter. This will come and I'll actually use the format painter and point over to this text box so that we can get the same format. Now the last thing that we need to do here is to bring in the slicer. So I'll come over to the table here, and on the pivot table analyze, I'll insert a slicer. Would like to slice this chart based on the market, so I'll locate in my table where I have the market column. It's right here. Or if I don't use the market, I can actually use, let me use the category maybe, and I say okay. This will give us this slicer here. Now we can also customize how we want this slicer to look like. I'll click on the slicer and go to the slicer settings here. Let's turn off the header and say okay. I can actually resize this. For our slicer, let's make sure that we have one horizontal line for all the items. So I'll increase the columns to 3 and enlarge this slicer. Now when I actually click on any of these options, you can see our numbers are able to change and our report is able to filter very nicely, and this is one of the techniques you can use. The rest of the thing is to highlight all the objects and group them, and then you can cut and paste on your dashboard report.